Hello, family, and welcome to another episode of Role Model Makers Experts Cafe. I'm your host, Dr. L, the Parent Whisperer, and today with me, I have Miss Shellee Howard. Did I say that correctly, Shellee?
Yes, you did. Thanks so
Oh,
much for having me.
awesome. Now, Shellee has been in our community, and I have been very intrigued by her topic, and I think it's an important topic for parents to really consider because nowadays, it seems to be in the back of everybody's mind. So, so I asked her to be here. So, Shellee, thank you so much for being here and talking about this and taking time out of your busy schedule. And audience members, thank you for tuning in. Can you tell our families what you do and how you got involved in doing what you do, and then we'll go from there.
Absolutely. So I got started in the whole college admissions planning when my oldest was going through the process. And there's so many details. I'll just give you the top end. He wanted to be a brain surgeon, and we had no medicine in our family. So as a parent, I panicked, right? Just like the listeners going, And so he came home in 8th grade and said, Mom, I want to be a brain surgeon. And I'm like, okay. And I went back to school and I got my master's, and then I became an independent college consultant. Then I started touring 25 colleges a semester. The good news is when he graduated high school, he had 7 full ride offers, went to Harvard, graduated debt-free, went on to UC San Diego Medical School, and is now an orthopedic surgeon out of UCLA. He was my why, and it's been now 16 application seasons, 16 years since then when we got him started. And it's still very important for me for students to have the academic, social, and financial fit.
So on that note, we're going to end this session. We're all going to call Shellee and get some talking going on to figure out your game plan. So that's amazing. That's wonderful and impressive. So Shellee, obviously you have plenty of experience, personal and otherwise, on this topic. And I always joke about this, that the best personal development that you ever get is when you become a parent. So you're perfect proof of that. So, all right. So how did you manage this? Or more importantly, why should parents care about this? Because there are parents out there and they're like, you know what, we'll just get some loans or get some scholarships, or hope, if not, they can attend the local community college. What is your input as far as where parents should start? And what if your child wants to be a brain surgeon? Like, how do you fund something like that and all of that?
So you just unpacked about an hour worth of webinar material. I would definitely say we need to do a discovery call. But in joking aside, when should parents start? As soon as the student is showing interest in furthering their education, talking about what they might want to do, or saying, I have no idea what I want to do. Any type of forward thinking, their maturity is now ready. We start working with students as young as 7th grade and all the way through from transfer student, LSAT, MCAT, whatever that looks like. The best time to start is really when your student is communicating with you, because as you know, parents, the older they get, the less they will communicate. So if you have this as an ongoing, this is something we share, it is a lot more enjoyable. Now, when we start working with families in 7th and 8th grade, it really isn't about what college are you going to go to and, what's your career plans, because they're young, they don't know. But what you can start doing, and I love to talk practical, right? We're parents, is ask them what matters to you. Help them to figure out what are their core values, what are their gifts, their talents, or I like to call them superpowers, where they can lean in and be like, yes, I am good at this, and I can do something meaningful that will equate to a career that I love. And so we help students get clarity, because it's one thing to be given an education. So say I have parents in the program who are happy to write a check. Oh yeah, get them into this school, we'll write a check, no big deal. And then I have families who are like, we're need-based. If you can't figure out scholarships, they're not going. And then we have a lot of the in-between. What I help parents understand is how great it feels when a student receives an award for their effort. That's what we're trying to do, not just get them into college. We're looking to raise young adults who are going to be happy and healthy and successful, whatever that may look like. And so when they have the ability to get a merit scholarship, it makes them feel like it's all been worth it. So even if a family can write a check, that's awesome. It still feels good for a student to be able to do it without going into debt or without knowing that their parents have taken out a loan against their retirement. What most people think about is, I make too much money, I won't get money. And that is the number one biggest problem, because 99% of my families think they make too much money. But in the last 2 years, our students have earned over 17.6 million in scholarships, which means there's plenty of money. You can't do the stock market and make that kind of money. So hopefully that gives you the reason of the why.
Right. That is really significant. It's a mindset shift for parents. There's a lot of misconceptions in this area, and we all want the best for our kids, but that is usually up to the kids and not up to the parents at that point. So it's important to understand that. So, all right. So I can already see that there, some of the challenges could be that, you have parents that are showing up, the child is in the senior year, they're applying for colleges, and they're like, what's out there for me that I could do now? And you said that you should do it earlier. What are some of the other challenges that you have seen in the process for both the parents and the kids?
I think the most dangerous one is, let's wait and see. I don't want to talk about it, it's uncomfortable. Maybe they don't have a college degree and it just feels hard to have that conversation. Or maybe they have a child who is just not connecting with them and it's a hard conversation. But what I will tell you, every parent listening, it doesn't get any easier the longer you wait. It gets more stressful. Then the student's saying, why didn't somebody tell me that I was doing a ton of things that did not matter at all to college? Or that by taking one class and getting a better grade could be so impactful, or doing service hours that I'm truly passionate about that will help me figure out who I am and why I matter. It goes on and on. If you bury your head in the sand and just hope it passes you by, it's very dangerous, costly, and the chances of your student being overwhelmed get increasingly more significant.
I couldn't agree more, especially when the kids are trying to establish their own sense of identity. They're not necessarily open to getting solutions and suggestions from the parents because that dilutes their identity. So very, very important to make sure that you get to it before that happens, right? Otherwise, they have to do all the heavy lifting themselves. What are some of the suggestions that you have for, actually, let's switch back to kids, first of all. How do you start this dialogue with the kids? And you already mentioned that if they start showing forward thinking, that's the first place. But what are some of the suggestions and solutions you have for the kids? And then what would be 1 or 2 tips that the parents could implement so they could move forward in this topic?
Oh, this is my favorite part. This is why I do what I do. People tease me, I speak teenager. I've never met a teenager I don't love. And that's not always the most common denominator, but for me, it always has been. I have 4 of my own, and they're all going to graduate college debt free, and they're all doing wonderful. So that's one thing. But to answer your question, it really comes down to helping the student without judgment. I'm a very judgment-free zone. If they say they want to be a botanist, I simply ask them how much they will make 5 years after college in botany. Or what are the other options? Could you own several nurseries? Think out of the box versus just shooting them down. I'll never forget my son's high school teacher said, his counselor said, why would you waste your time or money being a doctor? They don't make money anymore. And I'm thinking, well, that's kind of sad, because what if he doesn't care about money? So I really help the student, and this is a lead in for parents. At the dinner table, ask your teenager, if I gave you $1 million cash and you had to spend it in 24 hours or give it all back to me, what would you do with it? You will get a really deep dive into your child's mindset very quickly. They may not be financial literate because high schools don't teach financial literacy.
Yeah.
They have to learn it at home. And so if a student is going down this path of I buy a jet and then I buy a yacht and I take all my friends and family to Europe, and you're like, no, 1 million. And then they say, oh, I want to buy a house like my parents. No, 1 million. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of this, there's a disconnect for the student as to who I am, what matters to me, and how do I live the life I want to live. And oh yes, by the way, college is a stepping stone to get there. Most people start with, where do you want to go to college and what do you want to major in? And they're like, I don't know. And that makes them feel bad because they feel like they should know. And so you start from a place of them feeling bad, which, as you know, with teenagers, that's not a safe place to start. And so we start with a place of, let's talk about what's important to you. And let's talk about how we're going to go get it. And we let them dream, and then we help them to see what that looks like in reality without telling them no. The light bulb goes on and they're like, oh, a robot's going to be doing this in 5 years, right? And so it's really meeting them without judgment. And sometimes I'm a parent of 4. I could not do this for my own children. I had to hire somebody to say what I needed to say. And so let's be realistic. Will your teenager listen to you, number one, or a complete stranger who only wants to give them what they want? That's a big part of it.
That's huge. Yeah, that's really, really important. And when it comes to that aspect, I think it's much more important for the parents to maintain that relationship, not as a parent-child relationship, but help it blossom into a friendship as the child becomes a young adult or an adult. So that you can retain that relationship and let experts like yourself do the heavy lifting, basically. So for sure. Awesome. So really important topic. And there's many more facets to this. It doesn't end here. And there is even more, even once they go out of the house and into college. So how can people find out and connect more about what you do and gain information and seek support?
So there's a couple of things I want to give your listeners. I think it's very important for families to have foundation. So first, I'd like to give my best-selling book, How to Send Your Student to College Without Losing Your Mind or Your Money. Awesome. And that, all you have to do is go to freebook.collegereadyplan.com. The second thing is I'd like to give you 30 minutes of my time where I sit with you and your teenager, and I explain to the teenager what college is like right now, and parents are usually shocked. And it is a meeting of the minds. And so that discovery call would be collegereadyplan.com free/discovery session.
Wow.
And that is the easiest way to build your foundation and start that communication.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you for your generosity, and thank you for the support for the families. I really, really appreciate it. Guys, I'm going to put not only the amazing stuff that Shellee just mentioned, but a lot more of her contact information and resources that she has available for you in the description box. So if you haven't already done so, number one, make sure that you click subscribe so you can get notifications of all the experts that come on the channel, like Shellee, and share their expertise, their gifts, and their talents with you. And also, don't forget, you're role modeling this behavior for the kids. And that's really important for them to understand that you don't have all the answers, and they will not be having all the answers neither. And it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to connect. And we need to role model this behavior. In this day and age where we have this global technology, somehow the children are finding themselves more and more isolated. So let's role model the behavior, the importance of connecting to people who have our best interest at heart. They want to support us, and connect with Shellee on that. In addition to that, Shellee, I really appreciate all the resources that you've included here, guys. It's mind-boggling. And in addition to that, taking time out of your busy schedule today to be here and discuss this matter and bring it to light for our parents. Any final words for our audience members before we finish today?
I would say the last thing to think about is your student wants to be successful, but they just don't know how. So either you can be the resource, but don't count on the high school being the resource because they don't know how much money you do or don't have. So it really comes down to what is the strategy and the plan? Because without a plan, it's going to be really expensive.
Well said, well said. Truly beautiful and truly on point to the fact that we as a family, as a unit, really need to show each other the support, the inspiration, and the empowerment that can optimize all of our lives, basically. When your kids do better, you do better. So it just comes full circle. So thank you again. Thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, cheers.